Hey YouTube, we got Deep here, and today he's going to give us his updated Zefra deck profile. A lot of you guys wanted to harass me and him on YouTube for the updated version, so he's going to give it to us now.
Yeah, I was going to give it in 2 weeks, but you really wanted it, so I'm giving it an entire week early. So, the usual 3 Zefraxi, Treasure of the Yangzing, turns any of your Yangzing or any other Yangzing or Zefra monster into a tuner upon pendulum summon or if it's special summoned from the deck. Really great card, lets you enable synchro plays, but there's a downside. Once you use it, it goes to the bottom of your deck instead of the extra deck once it's used as a synchro material. But there are ways to get past that by popping it first with one of the tellers. Now, 3 Zefra New, Secret of the Yangzing. This is your main searcher for Zefra Oracle. When it's pendulum summoned or destroyed by battle, you get Zefra or Yangzing spell or trap to your hand. Pretty standard, nice searching card. You absolutely have to run 3. Very good card just to have. Then 2 Zefra Exciton. When it's pendulum summoned or normal summoned, you can pop a card in your pendulum zone, a Zefra card, or a Tellarknight monster or Zefra monster on your side of the field, and pop a set card. Really good for clearing out back row. And you can do pretty good combos. It being the level 4 is really nice. XYZ plays. Zefra Thubin, same thing as Zefra Exciton, only difference is it pops any face-up card. Again, very useful as a level 4. Now we get to the one-ofs. Now, from my last video, a couple changes happened. I decided to minimize the Necroz engine because Brio itself was more than enough. Trish might come back to the deck, but I don't like opening Trish. So, as for the one-ofs, Zefra Wendy, Zefra Core, Exa, Zefra Saber, Zefra Pilika, and Zefra Naga. When a card in the pendulum zone or a pendulum monster, Zefra, or Necroz, is destroyed, summon it from your hand, or from your graveyard. This acts like as a ritual spell. You contribute it from hand or field to ritual summon a Necroz ritual monster. These 2, this one when sent to the grave for any reason, will allow you to special summon a monster from your pendulum zone, a Zefra monster. This will let you add one monster from your pendulum zone, a Zefra monster of course, to your hand if it's sent to the graveyard for any reason. This will let you return on normal or pendulum summon face-up extra deck Zefra monster to your hand. This, which is a really nice card, and if any of these one-ups will be bumped up to 2, it'll be Ritual Beast Tamer Zefra Pilika, because she lets you bring back a Zefra or Ritual Beast monster from the grave upon summon and destroys it during the end phase. So if you XYZ and you need to get some of your resources back, just pendulum summon her. Great interaction with Zefra New, because if he's in the grave, let's say for a fusion summon, you went there because you fusion summoned Shekinaga, you can bring Zefra New back. During the end phase, he'll pop and you'll get his effect to search. So it's a great combo over there.
So I have a question. I noticed you play all the one-offs and different varying amounts. Would you up any of these, or?
Besides that one, right? Because you said that's the one you
bumped.
Because
this one's probably the most useful. If I decide to go and lean towards putting Trish back in, I might increase the Necroz amount. But that requires a lot more testing because lately I haven't been able to come to locals as much as I'd like to. But with more testing, these might go up, but that would require me to cut other parts of the deck.
And also, I noticed they're all different pendulum scales. Has your ratio been okay right now, that you're drawing enough for both sides, or one side more than another?
It's been actually really good right now. Like, I have not had any brick hands. I mean, all decks can brick, but as far as this as a deck, it's been really consistent. I was versing Necroz earlier, and I could consistently make Thubin to get rid of that Jin lock.
Except when he had Trish and Gungnir for it.
Yeah, except unless they have Trish and Gungnir in hand, you know, who'd have thunk it. But
Thunk.
Yeah, thunk. That's a new word we're going to use now.
Is it actually a word?
No.
Alright.
But now it is. But otherwise, I did not feel like any deck was able to overwhelm me this meta. Whether it's Tellarknights, or Star Seraphs, or Shaddolls, I had an answer, or at least a potential out, and I felt like I was on even footing. I can't say for sure if it's a tier 1 deck. I can just say that it's consistent, and like I said, a Zefra deck that's good for me isn't going to be necessarily one that's good for you because I have my own playstyle, you have your own playstyle. Shout out to one user who told me about putting Chow Fang back in the deck. Thanks to your comment, I decided to retest him out, and as you'll see later on, I have put him back in the deck. So thank you for that. He really helped me out today. And so going on to the rest of the deck.
Well, why'd you initially cut Chow Fang? Just didn't feel like he put enough in?
I decided to put more anti-meta options in the extra deck, and space became really tight. Chow Fang was a ridiculously good card. Not great as much as Horus or any of the others, but I wanted to keep him in. I really did, but I had no choice. And once we get to the extra deck, I'll show you why I had to cut him and why I decided to put him back in.
Of course, sounds good.
2, Veiler. It's a tuner and a hand trap, self-explanatory. You can use it to sync up and plus off your Oracle and stack.
Did 3 clog too much if you tested
Yeah, 3 was cloggy.
Of course.
You needed your engine.
Yeah. You need to run enough pendulum so that you can actually pendulum summon and search off. And then 1 of each Shaddoll.
Why no Squamata?
No Squamata, though?
No Hound. Why? No, I'm just kidding.
There's no need for Squamata, honestly, because its effect is a little lackluster compared to the rest.
Not
If I was
to remove the Jinn or anything? Didn't help?
No, if I want to remove the Jinn, I'll go into Thubin, which I did before. And of course, if they have a
What is that? Oh, sorry.
If they have a Gugnir like they did today in hand, then I'm not Gugnir or Trish. I try to target their Jin lock. Nothing's gonna happen.
It happens. Can't really do anything about
Yeah.
All I know is that this deck can search its outs to Jin lock, which is great. And also there's a combo where you go and you dump Hedgehog using Shaddoll Fusion if they have an extra deck monster and search one of your scales. Just a really great card.
Yeah.
This might go up to 2. Just being able to search my scales is ridiculous. You can plus really hard off Shaddoll Fusion in this card, even more than in regular Shaddolls, which is insane. Then we've got the 2 Brio. I decided to cut Trish temporarily because
You didn't like opening him.
I did not like opening Trish. I don't know if it was bad luck, but I'm trying to put Trish back in the deck, or I might side it. It's just with Oracle's effect of being able to spin a monster on Ritual Summon and Brio's effect of bouncing 2 extra deck monsters, Trish kind of felt like overkill.
Makes
I mean,
sense.
It wasn't a necessary.
It was just in there because you wanted it to be in there.
You wanted a boss monster, didn't you?
Yeah.
Because yours isn't out right now, if I'm correct.
Yeah, we don't have our own specific boss monster yet. It'll be up to Konami to decide whether they want to follow DT lore and give us a boss monster like Infernoid's got.
That sounds good.
And for the rest of it,
Spells.
Yep, the spells. 3 Oracle.
Great card.
The most important card for a Zefra deck, or any Zefra hybrid for that matter. When you activate it, you get to search a Zefra monster. If you ritual summon using a Zefra monster, it's a non-targeting effect. Spin one monster card from your opponent's side of the field back into the deck. So it doesn't even have to be face up. Just one monster, does not target. XYZ effect. If you use a Zefra monster as an XYZ material for the XYZ summon, draw 1 card, discard 1 card. I usually always discard Beast because it's an effect and I get to keep plussing. Synchro effect is you get to stack Lavalval Chain Style, 1 monster card from your deck. So what I'll usually do is Synchro first, then XYZ, so that I can stack Beast and then XYZ.
Draw it.
Yep, and then just keep plussing. The fusion effect is the most lackluster because when you do fusion, it lets you special summon a monster from your hand, but you can pendulum summon anyway, so there's no point.
It's,
I mean, it might get good later on. Right now, not really. Maybe in some hybrid. 2 Shaddoll Fusion because we run Shaddolls. I was thinking of trying 3, but then that gets really cloggy because
you don't even have that many targets.
Yeah, there's not that many targets.
If you add another Hedgehog, would you consider adding in another Shaddoll Fusion, or even playing El Shaddoll Fusion?
As far as El Shaddoll Fusion, no, because I won't really plus off it. But I would consider adding a 3rd Shaddoll Fusion if I decide to increase the Shaddoll engine inside this deck, which may be a possibility for the future. Right now, I'm really liking the consistency, and it's been able to compete with the top decks lately, so that's what makes me happy.
Good.
The one of Regeki, I don't know why that's there, it's Regeki. 2 Zefra Divine Strike.
It's your own barrier, right?
Yeah, this acts like our version of Infinity Barrier, but there is a cost. You gotta banish a Zefra monster that's face up in your extra deck to activate it, and use this with caution. This is a very skill-based card, know when to use it. because you need access to your monsters in the extra deck. Zefra and Pendulum decks in general benefit off the resources. You heard about that in the last video I did.
Yep.
So try not to OD on this card. It's a great card, don't get me wrong, just use it with caution. 2, Mind Crush, this is a new edition, this is a meta call. It's just a great card to have, because almost everything searches. It helped me a lot against Necros. Just very good card. Great mirror matches. Well, I mean, it's a staple now.
Is there no room for 3? Would you side a 3rd?
3 would be cloggy, because I don't like to go 3 of anything unless it's
Zefra.
part of the Zefra engine itself. Because with Pendulum in general, unless they're Cleafort, which have Scout and Sacrifice, consistency can become an issue. And, keeping hand advantage.
Makes sense.
Yep.
Then 2, Echo Oscillation, one of the best ways to generate advantage in this deck.
Pops a pendulum and then draw, right?
Yep, you pop a Pendulum and draw. I usually like to activate this during the end phase of my opponent's turn. And let's say I have a scale of 1 in my hand, and there's already a scale of 1 set. I'll pop my scale of 1, draw a card, next turn set the next scale, and then pop. So,
If it's face up, you can activate it during
Yep.
your opponent's turn too, correct?
yes, you
Double check.
can pop and draw during your opponent's turn, and pop and draw during your turn. So, another skill-based card. You have to know when to use it. It's a tad bit slow, but if you're a good enough player, you'll learn how to use it properly. I'm still learning how to use it. I'm not the best with this deck, but I think I'm getting a good handle. And here's the one of the staple traps.
Yeah.
Compulse is there that's a new addition, to get rid of Winda, problem cards in general. I might change this, though, to a Book of Moon.
That's a good choice.
So the core 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's great, but Book of Moon might be better this format. I don't know. I'll still have to test it. And now let's go on to the extra deck.
I think it's
So, I got myself Shekanaga. That's a new addition. Great card. You can trump your Zefra, Yang Zing monsters. Just a good card to have, because you have you have access to it. It's just great. Helps a lot if you know how to keep the Shaddoll monsters in your hand. Construct, another, of course, obvious staple. Shaddoll Fusion. Dump a Light. Dump a Hedgehog. Search a Scale. Self-explanatory. The newest edition, and one of the reasons I was actually able to put Xiao Fang back into the deck is El Shaddoll Winda. A Pendulum summon is 1 giant mass special summon, so Winda does not hurt us as much as it would hurt other decks. This is great against Burning Abyss. I mean, it's Winda. It stops a lot of decks. Tellers, of course, they will have their outs. But if you know how to play, it's just really great against an opponent. El Shaddoll Anemalith.
shuts down Necros completely.
Oh, yeah. Today I used this against a Necros player, probably one of the best players of the deck in this place. Couldn't do anything with it once this was out. I just had game right there. M7, when you have 2 Zefra News or Zefra New and a Horus on the field, it's just a great option to have because you run 3 level 6s. Really great card, lets you plus, lets you return your resources. Oddly enough, I see more play with this than I actually thought initially. Castell, Dweller, and Arc. These are my 3 staples that I use for obvious reasons.
No Exiton though?
Exiton is... I don't want to get rid of my Pendulum scales, and also in most situations, Exiton's a card where it's almost never live for me, because I always have more resources than my opponents.
Okay.
Makes
So
sense.
I have the scales up, I have the field spell.
And no Karen Gorgon, right?
Yeah, I haven't seen a reason for it, because if they pop my scale, I really don't care as often, because I'll have another one ready. Because when I play this deck, I want to make sure that if they do have out to my Pendulum scale, I'm keeping something in the hand. Play this deck cautiously. Don't try to go all or nothing, because your opponent will find a way to use that against you. Baxia, of course, as I showed.
Good card.
Yeah, it's just a great card. Latest change, I switched from Stardust Spark to regular Stardust. Now, I know that might seem a little unorthodox, but it's because there's so many non-targeting destruction spells, and Spark can only protect 1 card on the field. This, on the other hand, is more clutch for your opponent. So let's say you're versing Burning Abyss, you have a window on the field, and you have this on the field, which is actually pretty much...
Game.
Yeah.
I want to say Book of Moon.
It's just a good card to have, much better than Stardust Spark, in my opinion. You may test it, you may find, the reverse may be true, but like I said, this is what worked for me. Yazi, great card. I can make it ridiculously easy. A level 3 and a level 4, which I always have abundant access to in this deck. It's great when I have a Zefra new on the field from the turn before that didn't get destroyed for whatever reason. Pop it, pop a card, search. Great card, just ridiculously good card. Newest edition, and thank you to username Tyler. I cannot pronounce the last part. Low. You know who you are.
Tyler Lowe.
Yeah. Thanks to you, I decided to test out Xiaofeng again, and I found a way to include it by putting Winda in. And I'll tell you what I had to side out, what I had to take out from the main extra deck. But I really like this card. If you guys have more suggestions on YouTube, feel free to comment and subscribe and like. I like to hear your comments, your deck tips. Just don't message Elite Battlegrounds or affiliated members directly. Just comment below, like, and subscribe to our YouTube channel so that we can keep making more videos. This card's great, by the way. Just read it. Ridiculous.
You want me to read it?
No, I was.
Oh, I was like,
It's just
just
a
read
We'll
it.
look it up.
Yeah. Clearwing Synchro Dragon, just another out to Trish and Necroz. I mean, if they got Unicorn, of course, but I'll get rid of Unicorn then pop this out. Great card. And the most Zefra-centric extra deck monster at the moment is Horus. He becomes Big Eye, a non-targeting Big Eye, when you Synchro summon him using a Pendulum monster. So I love Snatch stealing my opponent's monster, because it lets me take my opponent's Yazi or other non-targetable creatures, and lets me permanently negate one of their face-up cards. Most notably, I'd probably use it against Clifford's, negate their scout, and take one of their monsters if it's not unaffected, and then their scout is stuck there and useless. So either they use one of their resources to get rid of it, or they just keep it as a dead floating weight. Wonderful card. I recommend to.
Nice. So, side deck, I believe, right?
Yep. Best side deck option, and most people will still disagree, Zefra Path. It's like a one-sided vanities for Zefra decks. Because while this card is out on the field, neither player can special summon except from the extra deck or from your hand. What that means is shuts down Ritual Beasts from uncontact fusing. It slows down Tellers that try to...
Call the Haunted.
Yep, Call the Haunted or Altair. Burning Abyss, the
Yeah,
Dante spam really gets hit hard by this. When I was playing Edwin, he really had a tough time dealing with this card. But there is a downside, though. When I activate this, all my non-Zefra monsters get shuffled back into the deck. So make sure you know when to use this. So make sure you play this first, then do your extra deck shenanigans. Also, it can't be targeted while you have 2 Zefra scales in the Pendulum Zone up, which is good. But if a card in the Pendulum Zone is destroyed, so is this. So use with caution. Okay, let's go there. 2, Shared Ride, which is the standard.
Good against Necroz.
Necroz, or anything that searches a lot. The majority of the meta.
You
3,
gonna put the third Mind Crush in over one of these, or no?
I actually might. But
Just an option, huh?
it's something I've been considering, a third Mind Crush. It's just that I don't like clogging.
Yeah, I know.
It's a,
Yeah, this lets you draw and continue
Murphy's
to play.
Law, if you run 3 of anything, make sure it's something you want to see. At least with Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Version of the law. 3 MST because you want to side against my back row, I'm going to side against your back row. So it gets rid of floodgates like Anti-Spell Fragrance, which got flipped on me today. I don't like that card. Because it really works good. So watch out for Anti-Spell Fragrance. 2, Pendulum Impenetrable, one of the best cards to side for this deck. A very pendulum-centric card. If your opponent tries to target one of your pendulum zones when you activate this card, negate it. Or they can't destroy pendulum cards in the pendulum zone that you control during this turn. Very, very good card. They try to Castell you, flip this sucker on. Yeah. This is going to be turned into a Stygian Dirge, most likely. But Mischief of the Gnomes, really great against Tellers and Seraphs.
And BA, or?
To a degree, they have ways against that. It slows them down, doesn't stop them.
Yeah.
That's why Stygian Dirge is a more permanent, better solution.
Not Flying Sea also?
Flying Sea is a short-term solution that they can get rid of. They can tribute
Farf, the guy who specials from hand, I forget his name. Libic?
Yeah.
Libic,
yeah.
yeah.
And the guy that lets you negate a monster's effect, and then they'll use your Flying Sea as XYZ material. Yeah, the card was great before Burning Abyss got a lot more support and people learned how to play against it.
Okay.
So these are going to probably be Stygian Dirges in the future, because the card's just really good this format, in my opinion. Like I said, anything you see in this video, it's what's good for me, not necessarily good for you. Feel free to experiment with the deck and improve upon it further. If you got any, tips, or you want to ask more questions, just comment below. 2, Maxi, the staple, because everyone's special summons. Almost everyone.
Good against the meta.
Yeah. Now, these are the 2 cards I used to have main. I don't know if I'm going to still keep citing them in the future, but they were mainly to stop Shaddolls and to stop Burning Abyss, and I just felt that the Winda Chow Feng combo was a more stable option. It's Satellar Knight Ptolemaeus and Satellar Knight Diamond.
Yeah.
So, originally I had these 2 mained, and that's why I had to cut the Chow Feng.
Okay.
But lately, Winda's just been a better option because it's really easy to just Raigeki or Dark Hole, and of course, somehow your opponent's gonna have top deck that Raigeki. So there's just so many. They're still great cards. Don't get me wrong. If I'm gonna verse Burning Abyss, I am gonna
Side them in.
side into those. I mean, having Winda, this, and Chow Feng on the field would be great.
Good game. All right. Well, thanks, Deep, and don't forget to comment below, guys. Thanks.